beautiful, isn't they? There's something about them, just the way they move and that, isn't it? You know?
And you can kind of see his yellowy eyes from the top as well.
Yeah. So you got obviously a black diamond here, and then what's the other type? Is it a hybrid?
The other was a pearl cross black diamond. The guy bought it off, thought it maybe, as you probably noticed through all of my tanks, I try to keep them fairly bare and empty just for keeping the water clean, making sure these guys don't bump into.
What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Now, another tank tour today. I'm going to fancy Goldfish today to go and visit his setups. He hasn't only got Goldfish, he's got Arowanas, stingrays and stuff like that as well. So it should be really cool. I've got about an hour and 20-minute drive, something like that. So as always, gonna have some breakfast, about to hit the road, and yeah, let's go and check out what he's got. Okay, so just got to Chris's house now. Obviously I've been in to have a look at all the stuff. It looks absolutely epic. It's sort of all downstairs as well, which is really cool. So let's go check this out. So he's got a pond here as well, but we'll come to that last. But here's the man himself.
Hey Mick, welcome to the Fancy Goldfish Fanatics house. Hey guys, my name's Chris from Fancy Goldfish Fanatics, and this is my fish keeping house basically. So I'm just going to walk you through everything I've got. If you want to check out my channel, as I said, Fancy Goldfish Fanatics on the t-shirt, and I'm sure Mick will put a link down below. So first up, we've got the monster fish tank here. Not quite as big as some of Mick's ones, but we've got Arowana, the super highback Arowana, and then down here we've got Steve, the pearl cross black diamond stingray. Then we've got Raymond, the black diamond stingray, and then we've got 5 Geophagus, 3 spot earth eaters, or Saturnoperca daemon, or demon eye they might be known as. Then coming through to the next tank, we've got the Highback Ryukins. So these guys were imported from Thailand last year. This tank is around 325 litres with a All Pond Solutions canister filter below it, filled with around 5 to 6 kilos of Eheim, and then it's just got a couple of air stones and a bit of Pothos.
Yeah, it's a lovely sized tank, and did you build, like, what is it, just a custom stand, is it?
So the cabinet I actually purchased off Facebook Marketplace, gave it a bit of reinforcement, repainted it,
yeah, it does
new
a job,
handles. Yeah, I'll take you through to the next tank and then we can have a little focus on the rest of the tanks. So next up we've got the Betta tank. So this is a Galaxy Koi Betta. There's a few different species of Bucephalandra, some Java moss, and then some alder cones, and there was some almond leaves in there as well to add a bit of tannins to the water. And then up the top we have got Salvinia minima, which is a floating plant to help reduce nitrate and reduce the algae problems.
It's lovely having a tank like that on the kitchen side, isn't it, or in an office or something.
Yeah, yeah.
It just sets the place off, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's wicked.
That's awesome, mate.
And then if we head outside, I can show you the Japanese Toffee Rancho pond.
Yeah, I love this thing. This is well cool. I'm tempted to get something like this in my garden, because it's quite a nice size as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is the top view Japanese Rancho pond. It's around 650 litres, made of fiberglass, which has got some insulation boards inside it. The water is really green because I'm running a green water technique on this pond. There are 6 top view Japanese Rancho that have come from a really strong bloodline. They sort of get to around the 5 to 6 inch marks. They're only around 12, 14 months old at the moment. Probably later in the video we'll bowl a few up and have a little close look at them as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to see that, mate. Right, so what type are these guys?
So these are Ryukins, and they are imported from Thailand. They're red and white Ryukins. I'm hoping to get a few more different calico ones and black ones. They'll get a little bit bigger to the size of sort of the big guy there.
They're stunning, aren't they? They're funny how they swim, don't they?
Yeah, they kind of waddle a bit through the water.
Yeah. And what do you feed these lot then?
So these get different foods. So these guys get a high protein pellet. I don't actually have the package, but they get a high protein fancy goldfish food which has got really good shrimp meal, krill meal, spirulina, garlic, etc. in the pellets.
Yeah.
And then another food I'm just trialing out is Kenta. So we've got the Kenta gas and the Kenta growth.
Yeah, I've heard about this stuff because they do all sorts of different fish food, don't they, as well?
Yeah, so this is quite new. So with one of the guys that helps me run the Facebook group, he is the UK and European agent for this food, so it's quite new and it's supposed to help with the buoyancy issues of the goldfish. So I'm just trialing it out. I did do a unboxing kind of video on it, but I haven't used it just yet. And then the growth, actually, I just received a few days ago, so I'm going to give that a try and see how that goes. And then they also get a bit of like bloodworm and other frozen foods like that. But the only problem with the fancy goldfish, the higher quality the goldfish tend to end up with buoyancy issues and swim bladder problems, so it is always a bit of a challenge to keep them. So they also have like a gel food which is really high in moisture content to help them digest it. So I have kept a few different type of fancy goldfish before. I did have some Chinese Rancho, which are kind of like the guys outside, but a little bit, well, quite a lot more expensive, but unfortunately had quite a lot of issues. They're really delicate fish and really sensitive, kind of like dog breeds. Like you have the standard dog breeds that are really easy to keep, but then those pedigree, higher quality dogs need a little bit more attention to their diet, their training regime, etc. And it's kind of similar for fancy goldfish. There are all the different quality levels as well.
Yeah, I completely understand, mate, because I know it's like keeping different fish, like discus and things like that. They all need different water parameters, don't they, and stuff. So I know how you feel. But these are great, aren't they? So you've got 5 in there, and what's the substrate? Is it just the black sand?
Black sand, yeah, just a simple main-head aquatics black sand.
Yeah.
As you probably noticed through all of my tanks, I try to keep them fairly bare and empty, just for keeping the water clean, making sure these guys don't bump into anything, making sure they've got lots of space. When I first started fish keeping, I'd say I went for more of a aquascape style tank, like the better tank in the kitchen. But now I'm kind of realising it's best to go bare bottom, and a lot of people will disagree, and you might see lots of people in the comments saying they need lots of ornament, structure, more natural things, but these aren't wild fish and they've been heavily bred to have the specific traits and different features. So they aren't used to that. If you're getting a stingray from the wild, it's used to coming from the Amazon or where there's loads of substrate, leaf litter, alder cones, stones that it can rummage through, etc. But these guys have been so interbred and so genetically modified. Like a pug, for instance, is so much different from a wild wolf that they aren't used to all that decor, and the ultimate way to keep them is clean water, lots of space, and lots of food, and that lots of food creates lots of waste.
That's right.
It's just easy to keep.
And another really good thing as well is, like, if there's any uneaten food, it can't get stuck anywhere. Exactly. That's a massive problem with fish keeping. A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to put all this wood in the tank, all the rocks.
Yeah,
but all the uneaten food gets stuck in the little crevices.
Yeah, definitely.
It creates ammonia. It just starts to rot away, and that's when a lot of people get problems, you know.
Yeah, so and I found as well, when like hoovering the tanks, I don't really get any dust build up at all throughout all of the tanks, really. I did have an aquascape in the monster fish tank, a really large bit of wood, loads of rocks and stuff, but within a few weeks I noticed it probably wasn't the way to go for long term.
Yeah. And filtration, you said you've got a canister on this one, is that right? An Eheim, is it?
No, I've got, sorry, there's lots of cushions in the way. Let me get those out of the way.
It's an all-pond solution, isn't it?
So yeah, so the water comes down into this filter booster. So this is the EF2 filter booster. Goes up through 3 courses of different sponges. Then it goes into the main unit, which is 2,000 litre per hour canister, and that is just filled with 4 trays full of biomedia. So I think there's around 6 kilos of biomedia in total.
So yeah, the nitrogen cycle is proper going, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So I got plenty of biomedia in this, around 6 kilos, so that is just for biomedia. So when I clean the canister, I just clean this one every sort of 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, and then the main one maybe 6 months, because it doesn't really get much dirt build up in it.
That's quite good, isn't it? Really, yeah. So that pre-filter really does help a lot, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. This is really handy, and quite a cheap system compared to some of the more branded style filters. I think I got this on a sale when it was like £85 for both.
Wow,
filters,
that is cheap.
Which is pretty good.
That is cheap. And you got the stand off Facebook, like you say.
Yeah, so the stand was, I think I paid 45 quid for it, and then I just painted it. It's not the best, it's a bit rustic to say the least, and then I bought some like stainless steel handles for it.
Yeah.
And then the tank I got off Gumtree, and I paid £10 for that. So
the whole system, what is it?
It's about 100 quid. And then if we look at the light system up the top.
Yeah, I've seen these.
So that is
Amazon, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's just an LED floodlight, $4.99, and then I've just wired it up.
Do you remember the video I put up? The Pleco video. I haven't actually put it up yet. It's going up in a couple of weeks. Martin with all the Plecos. He runs them on all of his tanks.
Yeah, it's
honestly.
really good. This one's probably a little bit dim. That was only a 10 watt model. But if I was doing a bigger tank, I might go for a bigger unit. But if anything goes wrong with it, it's $4.99.
Yeah,
I
you
think
just get a
the
new
bigger
one.
ones are like 10, 15, 20 quid. They're nothing really.
Yeah.
So definitely worth a try. And the fish look quite good under that
They
light.
do. Do they need a lot of light, the goldfish, or are they
Not
okay?
really. They're absolutely fine with none really. So it's just for our viewing pleasure generally.
Of course, yeah. No, it's a quality tank, mate. And like you say, it's cost you absolutely next to nothing.
Yeah,
and you've got like a tank like that in your front room.
Yeah, I think about 100 quid, something like that for all of it.
That's great. Now, wicked. I see you running 2 air stones. Do they like a bit of water movement then, the goldfish?
No,
or?
they prefer sort of a really stable, still water. I just run the air stones really just because it looks nice, to be honest.
Yeah.
Adds a little bit of oxygen, but not too much. Because this is room temperature, around 20, 21 degrees, the oxygen saturation is pretty high in the water, so they're not really going to be needing too much oxygen at that temperature because their metabolism isn't quite running at like full spectrum. So the oxygen or the air stones are really just for viewing pleasure, to make it look a little bit nicer really.
No, that's great, mate.
I've just got 2 cuttings of the Pothos or Pothos, which the roots run into the water, which helps reduce any nitrates and phosphates. And once the Pothos starts to grow and drape down the sides, it also looks quite nice.
Yeah, it will do. Look really cool. And I see you got it this side as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so both ends are going to have it sort of drooping all over the side. It will look wicked, won't it? How long does that take then? Because it takes quite a while, can't it?
I reckon, so these cuttings were about 3 leaves about 4 or 5 weeks ago. So I reckon to start trailing down, it's going to be like maybe 12 months. So not ages, but yeah, quite a bit of time. But once you've got enough of it, then you can just split it between all your tanks. It does well in cold water, warm water, as long as it doesn't get too cold. But in the house, the air temperature is quite warm anyway.
Because it's an ivy, is that right? Is it an ivy?
I'm not sure, it might be. I'm not too sure.
Okay. I don't know a lot about it, but it does look cool, doesn't it?
It's, yeah,
I see a few of the guys, other guys have been running it,
yeah.
So, should we get on to your better tank first, and then we'll come back to this mental tank here?
So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, this is the Candy Koi Better. So there's a few different species of Bucephalandra. I think one of them I can remember is Wavy Green. And then there's some Christmas moss or Java moss. There might be some Subwassatang, which is another type in there, but I can't quite see that at the moment. And then at the top, yeah, we've got Salvinia minima. I find this is a great plant. I did try it in the monster tank, but the Arowana thought it was food constantly. Yeah, I can imagine. So that didn't work out too well, but it grows rapidly. So I would say this fills up the entire top region of the tank within about 2 to 3 weeks. So it does really double in size every sort of 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And then it's just stripping out nitrates and phosphates from the water, and then you can just put it on the compost heap or chuck it away. Yeah, and the Better also loves it as well because they do like the bubbleness. Yeah, and stuff, definitely. Yeah, so and it will stop the flow a little bit, which they like as well, don't they? Yeah, the flow's a little bit strong in this tank, but he's coping quite well. And every time you come up to the glass, you can see he gets a bit active, waiting for some food. Yeah, he's cool. So what is it? Fluval. So this is a Fluval spec, around 10 litres. Probably after the bits of wood and rocks, it's probably around 8 litre mark, something like that. And then in the back, I've just got a bit of filter sponge, filter fleece that I change once a week, and then it's full of a big bag of ceramic biomedia, which is plenty for this guy. Yeah, of course, mate. And the light, is that a standard light? Or this light comes off the Mini Complete tank. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but it's a tank about this big. It's got a full sump weir system, and it's around that big. It holds a Coke can inside it, so it's actually a tiny tank. So I had 2 of the lights. I had the marine one and I had the normal one, but I'm not currently using the mini tank, so I just put that light on here, and it's 10 watts. But normally I run it about, there's 3 settings, so normally I run it about 2.5 watts just to keep the algae levels down, because the Bucephalandra doesn't need too much light. It's kind of like a Nubius, where it's pretty hardy and strong, and it also inhibits that algae growth as well. Yeah, definitely. So this tank literally costs you next to nothing to run, doesn't it? Yeah, nothing. So a lot of people out there think, oh man, like the electric bills are going up, like. But if you're into your fish and you want something just to like tie you over, you know, this is perfect. Yeah, definitely. Like definitely focus on simplicity, not overstocking these kind of tanks. If you've got plenty of hardy plants, some good floating plants, and a light that's not too strong, this is definitely the way forward. And also you can see a few alder cones in the bottom, and I did have some catappa leaves, which are Indian almond leaves, just to add a bit of tannins, which is quite natural for the better. The wood does release a little bit of tannins as well, just to create that more natural scape. That's why the water's a slight tea colour. I have recently done a water change, which is why it's not so brown, but they do like that.
No, it does look cool, doesn't it? I'm tempted to get another little one for my kitchen side.
Yeah.
Like this, you know what I mean? My missus going mental. No, quality, mate. Yeah, lovely little tank.
Yeah.
Right, shall we get on to your
sure.
big boy tank then?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so this is the monster tank, as you can see. So it's around 700 litres, 1.5 metres long by 80 centimetres wide and 60 centimetres tall. It has got the 2 stingrays, the 1 super highback Asian Arowana, and the 5 geos. Long term, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the 5 geos, because the Arowana does like to chase them occasionally when he's a little bit hungry, even though there's no way he can eat them at this size. In the back, I've got a Skeigo titanium heater, so that is a 600 watt titanium heater in the back corner, and that runs on a Inkbird temperature controller, as you can see here. So this temperature controller will send me a text alert when the water temperature goes outside of my set parameters. It's currently set to 26.5 degrees here, and you can see that the heater is on and it is slowly getting up to that temperature. So it fluctuates between 0.2 and 0.3 degrees to make sure that water temperature is nice and stable. Yeah. And that titanium heater really keeps that water at a step temperature.
And we've got the doors open as well, that's why it's going up a little bit.
Yeah. And then up top we've got a bit of Pothos. So this is the mother plant that I took the cuttings off for the goldfish tank, and you can see the roots are starting to grow down into the water. So I'm hoping that it will create a nice root system, maybe provide a little bit of cover over time, and then I can just keep that trimmed back as and when I need to. We've also got a wave maker, so that is a JCOD or JBL RW4 wave maker, the smallest one they do, and that is actually connected to a battery backup. So in the event that I have a power failure, I will still have flow and oxygen around the tank, and that battery should last for around 48 hours if there is a power cut, but generally power cuts are only a few hours, so at least I've got a bit of movement, keeping any bacteria on the sandbed alive to make sure the fish are as happy as possible.
Yeah, it's a really good idea, that is.
And then I've got the filter inlet, so this is actually drilled, so there's a filter inlet and then the filter outlet, and then the 2 pipes come down the back of the sofa all the way around here, and then we have the filter just hidden under here, and that is the Eheim Professional Free filter.
Yeah, it's a huge thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's slightly bigger than the FX6. It did have a heater built into the top of it, but unfortunately that stopped working, so I stripped that out. The water comes in, goes through a coarse sponge down to the bottom, and then it goes through coarse, fine, medium sponges, and then 5 kilos of Biohome Ultimate, which is the really large, sort of chunky Biohome, and that's all that's in there. Generally I clean that every 4 weeks, but only the top layer is really dirty. The sponges are always absolutely clean. It's just that top layer that really collects all the dirt, which is quite nice.
No, it's a quality system, and it's got the, like I said earlier on the other video,
wheels,
it's got the wheels, isn't it? And so how big can these filters go up to us on like a tank? Obviously not overstocked or whatever. What do they say?
I'm not sure what they actually say on their website. I reckon, just going off a guess, it's probably, they say around 1500 litres, but I definitely wouldn't do one of these just on a 1500 litre tank.
Yeah.
This is coping absolutely fine with those fish, but long term I will upgrade that tank, and I will likely go the sump route, because the sump route is definitely my favourite, and I've had quite a few sump tanks in the past. And yeah, I'll probably show that on my channel when I get that upgrade, etc.
Yeah.
So yeah, just the Eheim filter and the wave maker really providing a bit of flow in the tank.
No, it's quality, mate. I love how it's in like the sort of the middle of the room. You know, when you walk in, it's like a proper centerpiece,
so
isn't it?
You've got the view from the kitchen, and then the side view, and then obviously the view just from the sofa here.
Yeah, you don't want to watch telly, do you?
No, I never watch the TV.
He's got a lot of growing to do, this Arowana.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
wait.
Yeah, I think he was around half that length when I first got him.
Yeah.
And he's really filled out a lot. If I take the lid off, you'll be able to see a top-down shot, which might be quite nice.
Yeah.
I turn the wave maker off.
And what light are you running then? What light's that?
So this is a Hydra 26 HD, which is a marine light, so it's Wi-Fi controlled, it's got all the weather effects and you can change all the coloration. So if you want the Arowana to look quite nice, you can ramp those reds up to 100%, which creates quite a nice red effect for his tail, but currently it's on running around 10,000 Kelvin, so not too blue, just for the camera.
Yeah, he's lovely, isn't he? I'm addicted to him, mate, as you know.
Yeah. And occasionally he loses a scale where he jumps into the top. You can see that one's just growing through.
They'll be fine. Plenty of water changes, they come back, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? There's something about them, just the way they move and that, isn't it? You know?
And you can kind of see his yellowy eyes from the top as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you wait till he's gonna start packing on some size, he'll completely change within 6 months.
Yeah, I bet.
Where did you get him from then?
Planet Arowana.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
So he came from, is it David or Dave at Planet Arowana? Yeah. So yeah, he was around half the length of this. And I also got the Black Diamond Raymond from him as well. And then Steve came from just a hobbyist that was selling him. Yeah,
these are beautiful rays, aren't they? As you know, I've recently started getting into rays myself. I've got quite a few at home. So you got obviously a Black Diamond here, and then what's the other type? Is it a hybrid?
The other was a Pearl Cross Black Diamond. The guy bought it, I thought it maybe had a bit of mantilla in it, but after asking quite a few people, we believed it is just a morph of a Pearl and Black Diamond.
Well, it's got some epic colours on it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice. And then it's got a little kind of belly button in the underneath when he goes up on the glass.
I'll have to have a look in a minute when he comes up. And the sand in it, what sand you got then? I see it's mixed with some stones, isn't it?
I think it's Unipack sand. So yeah, a lot of people that keep rays don't like to keep sand with them. A lot of people like the bare bottom just for cleanliness reasons, and I can understand that with the goldfish, but because these rays are so close to their wild counterparts and they're not that far off their wild counterparts, I believe the sand really helps, and they're always digging through it looking for food, always burying themselves. And as I said previously, whenever I do a water change, I always gravel vac, and it's never dirty at all. The dirt normally just collects a little bit on the top, but the Eheim filter does a great job at removing it. As you can see, the water is fairly clear, so the Eheim does a great job.
Oh yeah, the tank's crystal clear, mate. It's doing absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I do agree with you with the sand. All my tanks with rays have got sand in them.
Yeah.
And I see them playing in it, and I think they enjoy it, you know.
Yeah. And then I think the sand is a Unipack. So there's a 4mm gravel, which is Nordic gravel, I think it's called, and then the sand was Tanner sand, I believe. So there's 2 20-kilo bags of the Tanner sand and 10 kilos of the gravel, just to create more of a natural effect, really.
Yeah, it is really effective, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite nice.
It does look like the Amazon basin, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I did have a massive bit of bogwood that's in the garden, sort of, that was running half the length of the tank, and then loads of stones around it, loads of leaves, alder cones, which was, it looks really good, but the dirt just collected like crazy.
Yeah, and the water goes brown quick, doesn't it? I know.
Yeah.
And obviously the geos must go through it all day.
So
I can see now.
Look, like a clean-up crew, like you'd have in a marine tank. But they were just going through the sand, sifting that water, sifting that sand. Sorry.
Yeah, it's amazing, mate. It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what's your plans then for like bigger tanks? Because we spoke about your wall earlier, didn't we?
Yeah. So I'm thinking end of this year or next year, I'll likely get a bigger tank. I want something around double this sort of size. It just depends on the room configuration, how I can get it in. And maybe probably get some new sofas to fit around the tank, not the other way around.
Yeah. Well, you only need one chair, mate.
Yeah. I'll grab some food for them and give these guys a feed.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
So the Arowana doesn't really eat pellets unless he's super hungry. The rays generally eat mussels and tiger prawns, and the geos will eat absolutely anything. So normally I feed the geos first, so they get like a high protein carnivore pellet, which I just keep in like little bottles. But the Arowana, maybe he'll eat a few, but the geos just love those, and I always feed the geos first because they love stealing the food from the rays. But you can see the rays, will start to realise there's food in the water, but they won't really eat it. So I've just got, not much, because I normally feed them in the evening.
Yeah, we got king tiger prawn, I see mussels.
Yeah, mussels. Sometimes I put tilapia in it, but they're a bit fussy. So generally, I would feed 2 prawns and about 7 mussels in the evening, which seems to do them okay. Yeah,
definitely. You've got to limit your food 100% because you don't want it laying about. Cause obviously, if it's laying around, you need to get in there and get it out.
Yeah, because it stinks. It produces so much ammonia after just a few hours once it starts to break down in this warm water.
Yeah, and you don't want to overfeed your fish. You don't want to underfeed them. It's all about the balance, isn't it?
I think ideally it would be good if I could feed that portion in the morning and the evening, but I'm not in any rush to grow them on really quickly, so they're doing absolutely fine in this tank. Yeah,
and they're at a certain size now where you haven't got to worry, because they're not babies, you know, you haven't got to feed them 2 or 3 times a day like you do when they're pups. Because obviously I've had quite a few pups lately from people, and I've been feeding them 3 times a day, doing like a 20% water change every day, just to keep them like impeccable, you know. So, but these guys are, you're at a stage now where you can sort of relax a little bit.
Yeah, the black diamond is really not growing as fast as I expected. I don't know, maybe it's just not the amount of food I'm putting in, but he seems like a good weight. He's not too skinny, and he's always been that sort of weight. But I've had him since November or October, so I've had him a good sort of 8 months now, and he's probably doubled in size. But he's not grown like crazy.
Well, you don't want them to, really. No, you want them to stay a bit smaller, don't you?
It would be lovely if they would stay smaller in an ideal world. And I also did choose males for that specific reason, because after doing quite a lot of research, it looked like the females generally got a bit bigger because they got to hold the pups.
They do, yeah. They get near enough double. Yeah. Some of the blokes I've been around, the females are like,
like
you're blown away about how big they are.
The females would easily probably reach the width of this tank alone. So I'm hoping that these guys will max out around 14 to 18 inches, something like that. I know it really varies from individual to individual, but I'm hoping that that would be the ideal world. But yeah, they'll definitely need a tank upgrade at some point, but they got plenty of room for now, and they seem really happy, never really hiding.
Nice.
Which is really nice.
No, all the fish seem really happy in your tank, mate. You're doing a good job. It looks wicked. It's nice to actually see it in person. Do you know, like, obviously we've been following each other so long, like chatting, like sending messages or whatever.
Yeah.
It's nice to actually see people's tanks, you know.
Yeah, and it's really hard to see your tank on Instagram. When I bet when you see it in person, everyone's blown away at the actual size of those arrows.
Yeah,
they're absolutely
are big,
monsters.
Yeah, well, pop over whenever you want, mate.
Yeah, definitely have to come and do a video and put it on my channel. For
sure.
Definitely,
mate. We'll do the same as this. I'll talk through all the fish with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I've got my 8-foot being built in the fish room tomorrow.
Yeah,
so
wicked.
Wait until we get that done and get it all set up and running and get it stocked, and then have to pop over. Right, so let's get onto your pond then, Chris, yeah?
Okay, so this is 650 litres. You can see it's fiberglass with a viewing window. It's not finished yet. I've still got to clad it in like a natural stone, and I've got to build a concrete base for it as well and finish the garden off. It's running on 2 dual Rio 8.0 filters, but don't be fooled, these are just the filter boxes, so I don't have any of the dual media in it. So what it is 2 sponges, and then it's filled with about 5 kilo of media in each one, so it's essentially a canister filter in itself. They've got 2 1,000 litre pumps on each one, and the flow is kind of directed down because these are top view fish, so you're supposed to look at them really from the top to keep the flow.
You can see the flow, can't you? Look.
But yeah, they like quite slow flow. As you can see, the water's really green, and you may think it's really dirty, but it's not. I actually did a 90% water change on this 2 days ago, and that is the colour, just to show it's just green and it's not actually dirt. So the water's really clean, but it is green, and that is just the algae. But that is just because the green algae is supposed to help with the skin quality, and obviously it's sucking out all of those nitrates and phosphates, keeping the water really clean for these guys. So if I get a few of them in the bowl, and maybe we can have a little close look at them.
Yeah, definitely. Cute little things, aren't they?
Yeah, so they should get to about 5-6 inches each. And they're not very quick.
Look how many you've caught, look. You wouldn't be catching your Arowanas like that.
So here you can see them. So they develop a wen, which is like a jelly substance on the head. And it's sort of a box shape for these style fish. Yeah. And then hopefully you can see the tails are supposed to be fanned out like that,
look at that,
with a split down the middle. and then the tail is at a 45-degree angle against the peduncle, and they're supposed to have a flat back as possible and be quite bulky. So I'd say the better quality fish are the two orange ones compared to the coloured variants in the bowl here. You can see that the wen shape is a bit more boxy on these guys compared to that guy, and they're sort of filled out a little bit towards the back.
They're like mini koi.
Yeah, literally.
Really, looking down from here, like if you didn't really know your fish.
Yeah, and once they're sort of 5-6 inch, quite bulky, they're just fat little water piggies basically.
Yeah. And what do you feed these in? The same
So
stuff?
these just get bloodworm rapashi, which is a gel food, and veggies, bloodworm, and some high protein pellets as well.
Yeah, nice, mate. Oh, I love it. It's a quality little pond, really, isn't it? You know, and it's just it's off the ground, so it's quite safe for kids as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and I have the lids on it, but I've just taken them off for the video purpose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying the green water in here, and then obviously inside with the Ryukin, I've got the clear water, seeing if there's any difference in growth, skin quality, etc. It's just a bit of trial and error, really.
That's right. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
And then yeah, I've got the little floodlight, which I can put on in the evenings when we're sitting out or having a barbecue, which lights up the tank quite nicely as well.
Yeah, lovely, mate. And that's the same floodlight as you've got on the
I think
tank
this one is a cool white and the one inside is a warm white, but yes, no, $4.99 job.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that, can you? No, it's fantastic, mate. Thanks so much for showing me around, man.
No problem at all.
Really do appreciate it, bud.
No worries.
But anyway, guys, that is Chris's tanks and his ponds.
Yeah.
But go check him out. He's got YouTube and Instagram. Do you want to say your name on there?
Yeah, so Fancy Goldfish Fanatics is the YouTube and Instagram. I also got a website, but you'll probably find that through links in the video description. I'm sure Mick will put my link down below, or maybe up in the corner somewhere.
Absolutely.
For you. So I appreciate if you check it out, maybe leave a few comments, and feel free to ask any questions you want. Thanks for having me, Mick. I really appreciate being on the channel, and hope you guys leave a subscribe for Mick and comment down below and like the video as well. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, ding the notification bell, and keep it real, everyone.